In this video, we will take a look at working chapter 10, where we will be working with budgeting within QuickBooks. Alright, we will once again skip to the beige boxes as working through this problem, and so we will go to the next page, looking now at page 292. Scrolling down, we see the first beige box, which has the objective of to create a budget for specific revenues. Number 1 then says Wild Water Sports Chapter 10 file from your data file. So once again, we need to download a new file. It is a Wild Water Sports file, but we will now be working with the Chapter 10 file. So they are on the CD that comes with the book, but we also have them on the Moodle, and that's where I will go to retrieve this file for this video. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go down, scrolling down to the current week which we are in, which happens to be week 4. And at the bottom of week 4 we see the data files. So we're going to click on these chapter 4 data files like so. Opening this item here, we're looking for chapter 10. Now we're going to want chapter 10, not chapter 10A. Chapter 10A may be used at the end of the book for the problem, but not for this chapter part of it. So I'm going to open this up. Once again, I am in Chrome, so it looks like this. It's opening up down here. If you were in Firefox, it would have like an arrow up at the top, I believe. If you were in Internet Explorer, it would then have this yellow thing on the bottom. Whatever you do have, just remember that what we want to do is save it somewhere to the desktop. We cannot open it because it's a backup file, therefore it will not be able to open. So I'm going to hit this drop down that says show all downloads, and these are the downloads that I have currently downloaded. I'm going to take the cursor up here, I'm going to snap this window to the left. Then I'm going to take a look at the desktop and open up my AC 1320 folder and locate where I'd want to put those. So I could snap this to the right like so. And then we want to put this in the backup or zipped files. So that's where I want to put it at least. You can put it in any location where you feel appropriate. And I'm going to pull this over into that folder, and there we have it. Now we notice that it's a backup file, which means that we're going to have to open up QuickBooks and we're going to have to unzip this file. Then I'm going to open the file to the data files, which is going to be actually this folder. So I'll unzip it from this folder, save it to this folder by opening up QuickBooks. Now QuickBooks is already open for me. If it opens up, it's going to probably open to the last thing we worked on, which in my case was Wild Water Sports Chapter 9. So in order to change that, I'm just going to hit the drop down on the File tab and go down to Open or Restore. Now we could close this company first, but we don't have to. I could close the company and then do this, but if we just go to Open or Restore, that will be fine because it will close the company in the process of opening the new company. Now of course we can't just open, we need to restore because we just put the backup file on our computer, and we will then need to restore from that backup file. So I'm going to select next. It's going to be a local backup, so I'm going to continue next on that. It's actually going where I want it to go right now, but if it were not, I would have to locate the file by going to the desktop, and I put it in the AC 1320, and then we put it into these zipped files here, and we want the Wild Water Sports Chapter 10. So this is the backup file, so where do we want to put it? We're going to unzip it and put it somewhere. The location I would like to put it is, I'm going to hit the drop down, see it's going into this backup. I'm going to go back one folder by going into this folder, and then I'm going to go into the data files. That's where I'd like to put it. Okay, so once again, you could put it anywhere. You could put it in the same file. That would be okay. Now this is trying to say, hey, do you want me to memorize this report? I don't want to see that again, so I'm going to say no. So you could put it in the same folder you want to put it. You backed it up in, but the key is of course knowing where the thing is so that you can locate it at a later date. So I will update the company and let that restore. Once the data has been restored, I usually like to have this view and this open tabs window open here. That's this open tabs on the side, and then let's go through our budgeting process. Alright, number 2 says click the company, click planning and budgeting, and then click set up budgets. Number 3 says select 2013 as the budget year and profit and loss as the budget type in the create new budget window and then click next twice. Number 4 says select the create budget from scratch option and click finish. So we'll run through those together here. Alright, so number 2 said we go to the company and click planning and budgeting. So I'm going to go to planning and budgeting here and then click the set up budget. So I'm going to go to set up budgets. Alright, number 3 then said select 2013. So I'm going to hit the down arrow 2 times, bringing us to 2013. And we could do the profit and loss or the balance sheet. We're going to start with the profit and loss. Many times when we think of the budget, we probably first budget type we think of is the profit and loss and then maybe a cash budget because those are the timing related reports. So number 4 says select the create budget and scratch option and click finish. So I'm going to hit next, and then it said add profit and loss budget criteria, and no additional criteria I believe is the option we want. So I'm going to hit next, I hope, and then it says create budget from scratch. That's the one we want. Definitely says that's the one we want. So I'm going to hit finish on that one, and here's our budget, which of course has our income statement accounts, and it has the months up here. We can see from the drop down that this is our profit and loss budget. So it of course has boat sales and then cost of goods sold and the other expenses. Okay, what else do we have? Alright, this screen is what pops up, so that's what we will be working with. Your screen may show the budget split into 2 6-month periods based on your screen size. So based on screen size, it could adjust how this will be displayed. So number 6 says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13 column and the boat sales row and type 200,000. Click the adjust row amounts button. Select the currently selected month from the start at drop down list. Number 9 says select the first option button and type 15,000 in the amount you want to increase each remaining month. And number 10 says select enable compounding checkbox. So let me try to explain those as we go through this. So back to QuickBooks here, and number 6 said click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th here and boat sales here, and then it says type 200,000. So make sure you got 200,000 and not 20,000 or 2 million, because there's no commas in the book. It's kind of hard to see. Number 7 says click adjust row amounts. So that's going to be down here, adjust row amounts. Now obviously in a budget, it may be that we would think that income is going to increase steadily over a certain time period. That's going to be our hope, obviously. So as we get better, as our new business grows, we're going to see, hope, budget for a gradual growth in sales, because there's going to be positive word of mouth about the excellentness of our service. So we're going to click the adjust row amounts here, and then number 8 says select currently selected month. So that's the second option. Number 9 says select the first option button and type 50,000 as the amount you want to increase each remaining month. So it says increase each remaining month amount in this row by this dollar amount, and it has a percent, which we're going to delete and put just a dollar amount of 50,000. Then number 10 says select the enable compounding box. Your screen should look like figure 10.2. That's this box here. We're going to select that, and of course what that means is we're going to start with the 200,000, then next time we're going to add 50,000 to it, and we're going to compound it each month. So month of February, let's just look at it, and if I make these rows a little bigger, month of February we'll have 250, month of March has 300, April 350, May 400, so on and so forth. If we highlighted, if we copied all, let's say if we added all the months together, the yearly total would then be 5,700,000. Alright, let's see what we have on the next page, which is page 294. It says click OK. We've done so. Number 12, click in between the annual total column and the June 13th title. Hold the mouse button down and increase the column width. So we did that. So I made these a little bit larger so we could see these by increasing the width. Alright. Use the same method to increase the column width for January 13th, February, March, and April. Number 14 then says click on the part sales title of the text row so you can see the boat sales row amounts more clearly. Your screen should look like figure 10.3. Okay, so we're good there. Number 15. Click in the cell at the intersection of the January 13th column and the part sales row. Type 500. Click copy across. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to click on between January, make sure you're on January, and make that a little larger, and part sales. So number 15 says click 500. Now this one's easier because in our budget, the easiest things to budget, most things that we will budget, we'll just say it's going to be the same for the whole time period. So in this case, we're not, of course, in the business of really increasing our part sales. That's just our main goal, of course, is the boat sales. This is kind of insignificant compared to the 5,000,007. So we're just going to copy this across and say it's about 500 all the way across evenly by selecting this button down here, copying across. And of course, if we added all that up for 12 months, 500 times 12 would be 6,000. All right. And next item. 17 then says, click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th column and the service row. Type 3,000. Click the copy across button. The income portion of your budget for January through April should look like figure 10.4. 10.4, Roger out. Alright, so then we're going to put our cursor. Number 17 said put the cursor on the service here. So we're on the service item. We're going to type 3,000 there. We skipped the discount, so we have nothing within the discount section. And then we're just going to copy that across. And does it look like the picture on the screen? 10.4, roger that. We're then going to go to page 295 and see what we have next. So we're going to go down to the bottom of page 295 where we have a new box with a new objective of to create a budget for specific expenses. So let's see what we have. Click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th column and the cost of goods sold row. Type 200,000 times 0.8 or 80% of the 200 and then press the enter key. This illustrates how to use the calculator function of the budget process. The results should be 160,000. Okay. So then we'll go to the cost of goods sold, and let's just kind of think about this for a second. If we're going to say that the cost of goods sold is the cost of the boats that we sell, and we're saying the boats that we sell are 200,000, that's how much we're selling them for. We're basically saying that the cost of the boats are 80% of the sales price. So we're going to say 200,000 times 80% or 0.8. Enter. That's 160,000. So we could use the calculator. We could just, use the calculator within QuickBooks to do that. All right, number 2 says, click the Adjust Row Amount button. Select the currently selected month from the start at the drop-down list. Select the first option button and type 40,000 as the amount you want to increase each remaining month. Number 5, select the Enable Compounding box. Number 6, click OK. Number 7, click in the cell at the intersection. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Now, of course, if the boat sales go up at a set rate, then the cost of goods sold should go up at a set rate. If we think about what the cost of goods sold set rate should be, we could think about it a couple ways. We could say, well, if the boat sales go up to 250 in February, we should still have 80% cost of goods, which would be then 200,000 on the cost of goods. We can also think about it this way. We can say, well, it's going up by 50,000 each month, so 50,000, and we're going to say 80% of that is the 40,000, and 40,000 plus the 160 is the same 200,000, which is, of course, 80% of the 250. 80%. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to increase it steadily as we did for the boat sales, and we're going to increase it by 80% of the increase here, which happens to be $40,000 a month. So let's go to, the book says, go to number 2, click the adjust row amounts here, and then it says select the currently selected month here. And number 4 says select the first option button and type 40,000. First option button is selected. We will then type 40,000. And then number 5 says enable compounding. That is checked. Number 6 says select OK. So now, of course, it's going up by the 40,000 each month, which is 80% of the increase in revenue, which is 50%. 50,000 each month. And of course the check figure is here, so this 4,560,000 is the check figure. That's the sum of all of the months. Alright, what do we have next? Number 7, click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th column and the advertising and promotion row. We're going to type 25. Number 8, copy across. Number 9 says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13 column and depreciation, and we're going to type 35 and then copy it across. And number 11 says click in the cell of the intersection January 13 column and insurance expense, type 2000, copy it across. Number 13, click in the cell in the intersection of January 13 column and interest expense, type 28, copy it across. And number 15, click in the cell of the intersection of January 13th, office supplies, type 1000. Okay, so now all the expenses are going to be relatively easy because we're going to assume all the rest of the expenses are basically going to be the same for the entire months, all the months. So to come up with the expense, we probably just took the total from last year and divided it by 12. And then for each month, we're going to say that these are basically the same. So number 7 said, click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th and the advertising. So we are here, we skipped this merchandise fees, type 25, and then copy across, total being 30,000. And then number 9 says, click in the cell of the intersection of January 13th column and depreciation. So here's depreciation here. So we're going to click there, type 35. Number 10 says, copy it across. So you got to be in the cell as you hit this button, which will then copy it across. And then number 11 says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th column and the insurance expense row, so that would be here, and type 2000. Number 12 says click in the copy across, so we're going to go down to the copy across and copy across. Number 13 says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th column and the interest expense, which would be here. And number 14 says copy across, then type 28. And then number 14 says copy across, copy across. So here's our check figures. Your check figures are here. And number 15 then says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13 column and the office supplies row here. Turning the page. Or it says type 1000. I'm going to guess that the next one is going to say copy across. Let's see. Click copy across. Alright. And then number 17 says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th column and the payroll expense row. Type 12,000. Click the copy across. Number 19, click in the cell in the intersection of January 13th column and the telephone expense row. Type 2100. 20 says copy across. 21, click in the cell at the intersection of January 13th column and the utilities row. Type 900. 22 says copy across. Then 23 finally says click save to save your newly created budget. Okay, so let's finish that up. We got the 1000. Number 16 said copy across. Number 17 said click in the cell at the intersection of January 13 and payroll expense. Here, type 12000. Number 18 said copy across. Number 19 says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13 column and the telephone expense. That would be here. Number 20, and then it says type 2100. Number 20 says copy across. 21 says click in the cell at the intersection of January 13 column and the utilities row, which would be here. We're skipping a few, so make sure you have it on the right area. And then we're going to copy across. And number 23 finally says save, so make sure you save your work like so. And then we can hit OK. Alright. Scrolling down to the bottom of page 296, we have a new box with a new objective which says to create, memorize, and print a budget overview report. From the report center, select budget and forecast and then double click the budget forecast. Select the FY, which is the fiscal year of 2013 profit and loss by account, and then click next. Number 3, select the account by month and then click next. Number 4, click finish. Then enter 1113 to 33113 as the from date and to date respectively in the profit and loss budget overview report. Number 6 says click refresh button and then modify the report to exclude the date prepared, time prepared, and report bases. Your window should look like the figure 10.5. Create a new group with your name in the memorized report and then memorize this report in your group. Alright. Let's do that. So we're going to go to the reports. We will then go to budgets on the left hand side. Actually, I'm going to hit the list format. Budgets on the left hand side. And double click the budget overview. So the first one's the budget over here. I'm just going to run it. And then number 2 says select the fiscal year 2013. That is what we want. So we will select next. Number 3 says select the account by month. So that's what we have here, the account by month. And then select next. And then number 4 says finish. Click finished. So click finish. Number 5 says enter the dates of 010113 to 033113. And there we have that. Number 6 says click refresh. So if you just click down here, it will refresh, or you can click the refresh button. And then modify the report. So we're going to customize. They want to go to headers and footers, and they really don't like the date prepared, time prepared, and report basis, these 3 items here. So we will remove them. And then number 10 says create a new group with your name in the memorized. Okay, so we're going to memorize this report, and in order to do that, we got to go back to the report center. You can either hit the report center here or go to the report center here, and then we would go to the memorize tab, from the standard tab to the memorize tab here, and we need to add our name to this memorized section. So we got to edit this memorized reports. I'm going to make this large by hitting this button here. I'm going to go down to the reports down here, going to click on that. I want a new group within these groups, and the group would be the name, and of course you would put your name, and I'll put my name, and I'll put OK on that. And of course there's the grouping that we can then memorize this report to. Then if we go back to the report here, we could then select the memorize option like so, and it says name is here. I got to check off this to save in a memorized report group. Hit the drop down, locate my name, and hit OK. Alright, so we have now memorized. Okay, then we're also going to print the report, and once again, we don't really want to print it. What I would like to do is just export it to Excel, because that's the preferred format for most of the homework, and it's good practice. So we're going to hit the Excel here. We're going to create a new worksheet by selecting the first one, and then we need to put it to a new workbook. So it'll just open a new workbook. I'm going to hit export, and it should just do this automatically. And there we have it. So now I'm just going to name this tab by scrolling down here, double clicking on the sheet, naming the tab Profit and Loss Budget. And I'm just going to leave it at that. but put the date of 03.31.13. Then we need to save this thing, so I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Save As, looking for this on my desktop here. I like to put them in this folder that we called AC1320, and then week 4, just going to name this thing Chapter 10 and save. And then we have to close it so that we can then memorize other reports to it. Now, if this didn't print, obviously when we exported it, we didn't have to worry about the fact that it may not print on one page. If we were going to print it as a PDF file, we would have to worry about that. So if we went to this and we went to print, or we could just select the print button here, print, and we can then preview it and see if it fits on one page. It does. It's a little tight, and if it was too tight, then of course we could put it at landscape and preview it, and that might make it more legible. All right, moving along, turning the page to the next page. I believe we're good there, and let's go to page 299 or 298, and we have the first objective here: to create, memorize, and print a budget versus actual report for the first quarter of 2013. So then from the report center, select the budget forecast and then double click budget versus actual. Select fiscal year 2013 profit and loss by account, then click next. Number 3, select the account by month and then click next. Number 4, click finish. Date range should be January through March of 2013. And number 6 says select quarter from the drop down menu. Number 7 says refresh it, then we'll save it and print it. Let's do this section together. So 298, number 1, we're going to go back to the report center here. And then if you're in the memorize tab, now we got to go back to the standard tab. Make sure that can throw people off often, including myself. And then from the report center, we want to go to the budgets down here. Here's the budgets. And then double click the budget versus actual. So that's the second one. I'm just going to click the run button down here. And number 2 says we want the fiscal year 2013. So that is correct. Number 3 then says select the account by month. So that is correct. Number 4 then says click finish. So that is what we want to hit. Number 5 says change the dates from 01/01/13 to 03/31/13. Those are the dates we would like. Number 6 says select the quarter from the drop-down menu. So we have it in here by month. We want to hit the drop-down and see the quarter. Now, a quarter of a year is 3 months. There's 12 months in a year. 12 divided by 3, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So January, February, March is the first quarter. April, May, June is the second. July, August, September, third. October, November, December, of course, is the fourth quarter. So we have finished the first quarter. This is the budget for that quarter. Or we're budgeting for the first quarter in any case. All right. So number 7 says click refresh. So I just click down here, and of course that refreshed it, or else you can hit the refresh button. And then we want to modify, and once again go to header and footer and remove the date prepared, the time prepared, and the report basis, and select OK. And then number 8 says memorize this report in your group and then click the print button in the report window. So we can memorize this by selecting the memorize. We set up a group, so we're going to click that button and hit the drop down and choose our name. Then we'll hit OK. Alright, now we're going to print this thing, and I'm going to export it to Excel to practice that format of doing this. So I'm going to select the Excel, and we're going to create a new worksheet. That's a little deceiving because you would think it's a new workbook, but it's not. It's the sheet within the book. So we are going to make a new worksheet. But in the next tab, we're going to say it's going to go to an existing workbook. So it's in a workbook, making a new sheet in it. So then we're going to browse, looking for that book. It's on the desktop. It's going to be under my account AC1320. and week 4. This happens to be chapter 10, and then we will export that. We'll open up the new Excel document, and when it does, we will just rename the tab that has been created, which is now called Sheet 1. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to call it Profit and Loss Budget versus Actual for 03.31. It's too long. 03.31.13. Ah. Alright. And then we'll just close that and save that. Done with that. And moving on